Hey there, demons. No. No, but for real, rapping unsolved. Anyway, Halloween is upon us, and I was thinking that I should do something spooky, something Halloween themed, but also wrestling themed. I know it's a bit early, but during the Halloween day itself, I will be away. I will be in New York because I'm going to Evolution, the first ever WWE all-women's pay-per-view, 28th of October, WWE Network. And don't forget to subscribe because my WWE Evolution vlog will be up shortly after the event. So yeah, Halloween. Of course, there were all of these fun options. I could talk about my favorite scary gimmicks, or I could react to the scariest, in a good way, in a scripted way, moments in WWE that I remember and love. But if you know me, you know that I tend to gravitate towards serious topics. So instead, as you might have already guessed by the title, I decided to talk about my biggest wrestling-related fears. I'm not going to talk about the obvious, because I think for me, like for many other fans, of course the biggest fears are your favorite wrestler getting injured, their career ending, and all of the sad stuff. But in this video I'm going to talk about my fears regarding wrestling as an industry, and my opinions will mostly be centered around WWE because A, it's the biggest promotion, and B, it's something that I mostly watch, so I feel like I know what I'm talking about. So without further ado, let's face our worst fears that might be our nearest future. The first thing that scares me is that we don't seem to be able to protect finishers and submission holds. And what I mean by that is that a finisher that is supposed to be a finishing move and that is supposed to be completely devastating is losing its value. I am not one of those fans who dwell on the past and always talk about how WWE used to be better back in the day. I thoroughly enjoy modern wrestling and modern WWE. However, in the modern day, you rarely ever have a match where someone does their finisher and the match is over. I feel like the reason is this constant struggle to one-up really big superstars in the storylines context, where, for example, someone is really great and really cool and really strong, like Brock Lesnar, but then you want someone to defeat Brock Lesnar, so it does take something to do so, but then you want someone to defeat that guy as well, and it just keeps on growing, keeps piling up. And what we're left with is Brock Lesnar doing several F5s in a row, and someone still kicking out of that, and then we have Triple H doing several pedigrees in the match, and then we have people not tapping out to sharpshooter, or when they do tap out, it's after they've been in the hold for a whole 5 or 6 minutes. And I feel like it's a road with no end, because where do we go from there? You can never come up with an infinite number of finishers. And of course now we have Cena's 6th move of doom, which looks completely ridiculous to me. But what I mean is, yes, you can add certain moves to a wrestler's moveset, or you can come up with new submission holds. But what's the point if the same thing is going to happen to those? So I feel like it's really important to kind of stop and think and be a little more careful with submission locks, be a little less liberal with holding them in. We need to treasure the finishers more, because the finisher is something that is supposed to be one of the most exciting points of the match. And if you know that it's not that devastating anymore and that it might not work at all, then it kind of loses its thrill. My next wrestling fear is more related to WWE than anything else, because this tendency, as of now, I can only see in regards to WWE. WWE nowadays is such a huge company, such a huge corporation. They produce just infinite hours of content a week, and you can just humanly watch all of them. Which is, I think I might do a video one day about that, about trying to watch all of the WWE content that they produce a week and seeing whether it's actually humanly possible. But what I'm trying to say is we can physically see WWE steering away from wrestling. It's no news that they kind of refuse to call their superstars wrestlers, that they are a bit scared of the word wrestling itself, and we know that when some wrestlers come into the company, their moveset gets restricted for safety purposes, which doesn't sound that bad, but I feel like in their chase of safety, WWE might steer away completely from wrestling and simplify it to a huge extent. And I do realize that while we have shows like NXT and like 205 Live, it's not quite a feasible near future. However, I feel like it's still a dangerous tendency, and WWE producing reality shows and producing all kinds of other on-demand content and producing movies, I feel like there's a risk of them forgetting about wrestling just a little bit. I'm not saying that that will happen, but I am saying that I'm scared that it could happen. And the third and final thing is also more so about WWE, but it has to do with indie wrestling as well. I am scared that WWE will end up distancing itself from the world of wrestling. Let me explain what I mean by that. We all know how uneasy WWE felt about All In taking place, and we've heard about certain wrestlers not being given the permission to go to certain indie shows, to even see their spouse perform. And for a huge corporation that dominates its industry, it's of course natural to be scared of rivalry, of rival companies, rival federations. However, I feel like WWE having a tense relationship with all of the other federations and all the indie wrestlers is not a good thing. The world of wrestling is a huge industry and it's a beautiful, beautiful place. And I feel like if WWE restricts itself so much by explicitly distancing itself from all things indie, might end up in some wrestlers feeling resentful towards WWE, or in some wrestlers leaving WWE, or in some indie wrestlers refusing to sign with WWE. It will all result in only losses for WWE itself, but also for the universe, also for me as a viewer. It will cut down on the opportunities for us as the universe to see more people involved in wrestling and to see more people being given a big platform in the world of wrestling. So I would really not want that to happen. So yeah, what an optimistic video, right? What are your wrestling fears? Tell me. Thank you so much for watching. Give this video a like if you had a good time. Subscribe and find me on social media. I will link them down below. I'm at XeniaRocks on almost any platform. Goodbye!